It's the 16th of August 2021, and this is a video that I really didn't actually want to make because, I haven't done a video for a while on YouTube now, and that's because I was recently moved out of my property, forced out of my property by Shropshire Council because the property was unsafe. What happened is, about 5 or 6 months ago, after having a conversation with somebody I know about a wall in my house, I decided to report it to the estate agent. And this wall, the reason I reported it is because this wall was on a really bad lean. Obviously, I never really thought it was dangerous because the property had a HMO licence given to it by Shropshire Council, which involved safety inspections. So I always assumed that they've looked at it, they've seen it, it's obvious enough, it's probably safe. But somebody I know anyway, my brother actually, he said he don't think it is safe despite that. So, I'd lived in this property for 5 years with that wall looking exactly like that. It never looked any different. But, I thought I'm going to report it anyway because it was one of them things. It was just niggling at the back of my mind. I was thinking I'll best fucking report it. So I reported this wall to first my estate agent and my landlord. They was going to mess about and it was going to take them a few weeks to sort anything out as usual. So I thought, you know what, I'll just contact the council. So I contacted Shropshire Council, and upon contacting Shropshire Council, in all fairness, they come out pretty sharpish. They look at it and they decide that the property is safe and I can stay in there for as long as I like, with my children and shit. There was they did say it needs work doing and it needs to be fixed, but it's not going to collapse or anything like that. So I was I was happy at that. I was thinking, at the end of the day, I'll find somewhere else anyway. At least I haven't got to rush it. And then this was a Thursday, and I'm at work of a Thursday, and I get this phone call: "You got to get out of your house right now." I was like, "I'm not even in my house. How can I get out right now if I'm not even in there?" Because at the end of the day, they said the property is dangerous. It could collapse at any time. We need you out right now. We're going to put you in a hotel. I was like, fair enough, put me in a hotel. What hotel is it? They told me the hotel and shit and I says, well, I have my children every weekend, so I need, space for them as well. They was like, no, we can't do that. I was like, well, I can't get out the hotel then. And this went on for literally ages on the phone. They was trying to pressure me. I was speaking to a woman from Shropshire Council called Sue, who insisted that if she was in my situation, she would move into a hotel without her children if that was necessary. I was like, well, at the end of the day, I have them every weekend, and Shropshire Council's incompetence isn't going to stop that, because this is all Shropshire Council's fault, more so than even the landlord's fault, because they was doing safety inspections on it. They licensed it. Shropshire Council seem to want to have authority without responsibility. That's their problem. Honestly, they've been absolutely disgraceful all the way through this. They've acted disgracefully. And I'll explain a few little things now why. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to make this video, but they just keep harassing me and harassing me and harassing me. So, I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to say it the way it is. So, at the end of the day, that involves me having to tell a pretty long, drawn-out story. And I might miss certain bits because it went on for literally months. I mean, that's why I haven't been making videos. It literally went on for months and months. So, they tried to put me in this hotel at the Thursday night anyway, that's where I was. I refused the hotel because it won't have the children. It won't have my children, it won't allow me to have my children on weekends. So I stay in that property at the Thursday night, the property that was about to collapse. And, I'm at work the next day and I'm not even at work the next day, I'm actually at home. I've just got back from work. And I get a call from Shropshire Council: we've got a taxi coming to yours now to pick you up, to take you and your children to the hotel. All of a sudden they could take us into the hotel. I was like, fair enough. So I moved, we moved everything that we could out. Obviously, they also threatened to phone the police on us if we entered the flat to get our belongings, which means that we didn't have time to get a lot of the big stuff out. We had to just leave it in there, and I just got out a few essentials and put into storage a few things that I could as well. So, which was paid for by my landlord, not Shropshire Council. Shropshire Council didn't pay for storage or anything like that. If Shropshire Council had their way, they wouldn't have paid for anything, in all fairness. So then, they put me into this hotel. I'm in this hotel for about a week. I'm just about to eat my breakfast in the morning in the hotel. I'm just going to get myself a breakfast, and the receptionist in the hotel comes up to me with a letter. And I was like, that's weird. You know, nobody knows I'm here and I'm getting letters. I wonder who this is off, so I opened it straight away. And it was from, surprise, surprise, Shropshire Council. It was a bill for the hotel for £400, bearing in mind I'd only been there for about a week at this stage. Not even a week. Well, yeah, just about a week. And it was £400 I bill to the hotel, and a threat at the bottom basically saying if you do not pay it, the contract will be terminated and, you know, you'll be pretty much made homeless. So I was like, I'm not paying that at the end of the day. Why should I have to pay for this? They licensed that property, like I keep saying to them, because I keep saying it to them every time I speak to them. They licensed that property. They looked at that wall and they decided that the house was safe. In the end, right, there was in such of a panic about it, they blocked the street off. They was absolutely terrified in case the building collapsed. It's been all over the newspapers. I mean, that's another funny story. The Sun newspaper found me up and started asking me a lot of, I mean, I'll get into that another day anyway. But it's been in the Sun newspaper, it's been in the Shropshire Star. The Shropshire Star lied to protect Shropshire Council, obviously. They said that all the tenants had been put into temporary accommodation, when no, they hadn't. One of the tenants was sleeping in his car. The other two tenants, one of them went to the parents and the other one was staying at his friend's house. So only two of the tenants actually, well, three of the tenants actually was put into temporary accommodation, and I was among them. But, you know, so they send me this bill. I phone them up and I tell them I'm not paying for it. I was told before I got into the hotel I wouldn't have to pay for it, and I refused to pay for that. At the end of the day, I mean, it's not my fault. So they insist I've got to pay for it. They send me emails demanding that I pay for it. So I contact a local politician's assistant. I think she's an assistant, and in all fairness, she was really helpful, and she got all the charges waived. She says at the end of the day you shouldn't have to pay this. I mean, it was not my fault. In fact, if it wasn't for me noticing, the house could have collapsed at any time, killing everybody in it, plus anybody that was walking past it, and next door was also in trouble. So, you know, at the end of the day, I saved Shropshire Council from what I think Shropshire Council themselves, their own representatives that come out and looked at the property, like their building control people and stuff, and environmental health. They says that if it would have come down, it would have been catastrophic. If that house would have come down when we was in it, nobody would have survived, including me and my children. You know, we would have died. Shropshire Council's incompetence literally nearly killed me, my children, my neighbours, and anybody that would have been walking past the house at the time. I mean, that's how bad it actually is. Their safety inspections on this house was put down to them due to it being a HMO. They had a license, a picture of they had the license of the HMO on the wall, which I've taken a picture of to prove it was an HMO. HMOs don't pay council tax. Now Shropshire Council are trying to charge me £2,500 council tax for the last couple of years that I've been there. Despite the fact that obviously through the pandemic I've actually been on universal credit and not working as much as what I usually would have been if it wasn't for the pandemic anyway. I've definitely, I mean, I lost 3 months straight, you know, a lot of building sites just shut. So I lost 3 months straight after, in the first lockdown, and pretty much since then I've been in and out. I mean, it's getting very busy now, but at that stage, you know, it was very hard to find work because obviously so many building sites were shut. But now, like I said, they're trying to charge me £2,500 council tax on a property that was licensed by them, that could have fell at any time, that half of my belongings, or maybe even most of my belongings, are still in there. I still haven't even got access to most of my stuff. I've had to go out and I've had to buy a lot of stuff again. In all fairness, Shropshire Council, after an ordeal, by the way, did replace my fridge, my freezer, and that was another thing that we had an argument about, because first they told me they was going to replace everything. Then when the time come for them to actually replace it, by the time well, let's start from the start. I mean, they told me to go on Home Point, and so to sign up to Home Point, which is a place to bid on houses from Shropshire Council and other another bloody housing associations. So I bid. I tried to sign up to this website. It's not like a normal website, like every other website in the world where you can just sign up to it. With this one, you actually have to contact Shropshire Council, ask them for an application form, fill in something like a 31-page application form, post it back to them, and then they tell you when you can do it. I actually done that weeks and weeks ago, literally months ago probably now, and I still haven't actually received anything to say that I can use that website. I mean, that website has got 1 star on Google reviews. Every single person that has reviewed it on Google reviews, which is about 15 people or something, have given it 1 star. Every single review is giving it 1 star. Not one single reviewer has even gone up to 2 stars. That's how useful that website is. So in the end, I thought, obviously Shropshire Council are not going to help me here. Nobody's going to help me. Might as well just help myself. So I quickly went into the first private house that I could find, rushed into it, just to get out of the hotel and just, to get out of their way, Shropshire Council's way. So now all I need is access to my stuff. I can't have access to my stuff, so they say that they'll replace the essentials, such as my bed set, my settee, my fridge, my freezer, my washing machine, and that's it. That's all there to replace. But now, because of me earning too much money, they can't replace anything. So I'm like, well, if you can't replace anything, then I can't get out of this, hotel. You're gonna have to pay for me to be in this hotel until I can either get to my stuff or you replace it. So after much arguing, they decide that they will replace it, only because it was the most sensible thing for them to do, because it was costing them a fortune to be in the hotel. For me to be in the hotel, it was actually costing them £600 a week for me to be in that hotel. And the hotel was nice, and Shropshire Council claimed that that's how they helped me. They put me in the hotel, but it's like I said to them at the time, it's a nice hotel, and I'm not having a go at the hotel at all, but at the end of the day, it's not somewhere to live. There's nowhere to cook. There's no washing facilities. I was washing my clothes in the bath. At the end of the day, I was eating out every single night, every single meal. It was costing me an absolute fortune, especially if I had the kids with me, because I couldn't cook food. So every meal was a takeaway. I'm actually sick of the sight of takeaway food at the moment. But Shropshire Council have acted, first they tried to use bullying and intimidation to make us pay for the hotel, and then to get us out of the hotel as quickly as they can, they use the same tactics. It's all bullying and intimidation, like, you got to pay this, you got to pay that. And it's like, at the end of the day, this mistake was all their fault. Everything that happened here was their fault, and it definitely wasn't the tenants' fault anyway. There's no denying that the tenants had nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, like I say, if I didn't report that wall, everybody would still be in that flat now, and that flat could have collapsed at any time, killing everybody in it. That shit happens at the end of the day. So it could have easily have happened then as well. For them to even think that I should pay council tax on that is a piss take on its own. But the fact it's HMO, and that means, and I had to share space with other residents, that makes it exempt from council tax. So it's HMO. I've got a picture of the HMO licence on my phone and on my emails, just in case I lose my phone. So this house was a HMO, but Shropshire Council don't want to know that. I've sent them the proof that it was a HMO. I've sent them the HMO law, and now they're saying it was HMO, but not for council tax purposes. It's like, they've never said this before. I've been arguing with them now for years. They've never actually mentioned that before, but now they're trying to say it's HMO, but not for council tax purposes, because there was no shared space. But they know that there was shared space. They know that I had to access public space just to get to my bathroom. That is shared space at the end of the day. So that place was a HMO. I shouldn't have to pay council tax on it. At the end of the day, I know that Shropshire Council have spent a fortune putting us into that hotel and stuff like that. But to try to grab that money back by trying to force me to pay a council tax bill, today they've sent bailiffs after me. They've sold the debt to a bailiff company now, without no court order or anything like that. They've just sent it straight to a bailiff company, even though the property is HMO. You know, so like I say, I know that they've lost a lot of money putting us into a hotel and having to pay to close the roads in Shropshire, in Shrewsbury and shit. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, but at the same time, you know, they lost a lot more money when they paid £51 million for the shopping centre in Shrewsbury that's now been recently valued at £12 million. I mean, what's going on there? At the end of the day, you know, Shropshire Council, they are the most corrupt people that you could ever come across, and they are so sociopathic. Everybody that you speak to who works for Shropshire Council is borderline in sociopaths, honestly. I mean, you know, they actually think that we're the problem. This is what pisses me off with Shropshire Council. They think that we're the problem. They're the fucking problem. They're the ones that are not doing the job properly. I mean, they've charged you all this council tax, and what do they actually do for you? Literally fuck all. I mean, they empty your fucking bins and they provide street lighting, and beyond that, what do they do other than organise shit events and shit like that nobody's interested in? I mean, where does all this council tax actually go? I mean, people say to me in conversation, oh, but these councils are hard up for cash at the moment. How can they be? That last flat, right, that I lived in used to be a house, a 3-story house that had been converted into apartments. If we was all paying £2,500 every year or every 2 years to be in that place, that means I was collecting £10,000 every 2 years of just that flat. I mean, in council tax, and all they was doing for that was pretty much emptying bins and providing lights. I mean, very little else, and like I say, wasting money on expensive shopping centres for paying £51 million for a shopping centre that's now been totally empty. There's not a single store in there now, and it's valued at £12 million. So they've lost an absolute fortune at the end of the day. But for them to try to penny pinch that sort of money off me, I mean, I've got a serious problem with councils and stuff anyway. You know, when they run like this, that just, you know, it exaggerates my problem I've got with them, because it just makes me feel like, you know, what are we fucking paying for? I mean, these people are absolutely useless. There was absolutely no help at all through the whole situation. I had to rehouse myself. They tried to send me the bill, for fuck's sake, for the hotel. I mean, despite the fact that they're the ones who kicked us out. I mean, they kick you out the flat, they demand that you leave, they threaten you with the police if you don't leave, and then they try to send you the bill for the hotel like you've just gone on holiday or something. I mean, they're unbelievable people. And like I say, when you phone them up, and the amount of times that I found them up and they'll be on hold for half an hour, and then the person that I needed to speak to wasn't in the office, so their assistant would say, oh, we'll phone you back as soon as possible, and then they wouldn't phone you back. I mean, all that sort of shit. Like, I mean, they was absolutely useless, and they didn't want to do anything. Like I say, Shropshire Council's problem is, right, that they want the power and authority without having to accept any responsibility. They passed that house as safe at the end of the day. It'd taken one of the tenants, which was me, to notice and to report the fact that the house was potentially dangerous. After I reported it, everything went into a massive panic, and then all of a sudden they start to think the house is going to collapse. They fill the house with £30,000 worth of expanding foam and pipes and tubes to hold it into place, and that's how it's standing right now. I mean, when I've got all my computers and shit sorted out, which actually I can't sort out because my computer table's still in my last flat, like everything else. And it's another thing Shropshire Council don't realise. I've had to spend a fortune on replacing a load of equipment that I already had because I need it for this place. I mean, such as speakers for my television, and, you know, bedding for the kids and everything, and bedding for myself. I mean, I've had to replace everything. I mean, you know, all bed sheets and shit, and towels and shit, and clothes and jackets. I mean, you know, I've literally had to spend an absolute fortune on just replacing stuff that I've already got. And Shropshire Council now think that they're going to charge me £2,500 for council tax. And anyway, the bill's wrong anyway, because I live there single, and council tax bills sent assuming that you live there as a couple, so they charge you for two. So unless you actually tell them to adjust the bill, you'll pay for council tax that you're on, because they won't tell you. Obviously, they'll do anything they can to get a bit of money off you. They are literally parasites. And I'm sure it's not just Shropshire Council, but obviously Shropshire Council are the ones that I'm dealing with in this situation, and they've just been absolutely unbelievable. No help whatsoever. I mean, tried to put me in a hotel that won't have my children at first. I mean, literally they expect me to give up having my children, and then they tried to tell me, the woman on the phone, Sue, who works for the council, she tried to tell me that if it was her and she was in my situation, she'd take it, she'd quickly just get out and not worry about where the children are, what's going to happen with the children. It's like bullshit. At the end of the day, I mean, like I say, the hotel was nice. I'm not moaning about the hotel was nice, the staff in the hotel was nice. But the council was absolutely useless, and the hotel at the end of the day was not somewhere to live. I mean, you need cooking and washing facilities and shit and basic equipment like that. But I might make a video about this again later, and I might share some photos of the house and the wall and shit like, because it's been reported by the mainstream media. I mean, mainstream media, the Sun newspaper phoned me up asking for information about it. But so I'm going to go into all that later anyway. I might make another video about this, but yeah, I just wanted to quick look at Shropshire Council and the way they've handled it. Well, totally mishandled it from the very start, starting from the HMO safety inspections, which is supposed to be every 5 years. But I'm going to leave it at that anyway. Thanks for watching. I'm out.